Students, we are going to study about wave optics. In the previous chapter, we have studied about ray optics, where we have studied light as a ray. Now, ray means a straight line. Now, basically, this whole theory started in 17th century when our Newton, he proposed that light basically is a particle. Newton all his life used to believe that light is a particle. He proposed this corpuscular model. Corpuscles means particles. He wrote this famous book Optics also during that period. And in those days Newton had already discovered all this gravity and all that. He was a big name in the physics world. He was an authority. He was like a god-like figure. So whatever he used to say was the rule. So during that time, nobody could oppose him. During his own time, there was another scientist called Huygens. He used to say that light is a wave. He disagreed with Newton, and he used to say that light is a wave. Newton used to say that, Newton agreed that in light there is a reflection there. He agreed to the refraction phenomena also. Alright. And he used to say that when going from one medium to another medium, okay, light medium to another medium, and let us say one, this is medium, and let us say light speed 2 is more, here it is more, that light will go near the normal. This is what he always believed, he argued, and nobody could deny his argument. Huygens, on the other hand, used to say that light is a wave phenomenon. Then after a few years, this reflection and refraction phenomena of light. See, reflection can be understood like from a particle point of view. Take a ball, you hit it on the wall, the particle, right? It can be easily explained using the reflection phenomena. But reflection and refraction phenomena was explained using wave theory also. Then people started doubting, is light really a particle nature? Then in 1850, Foucault was one engineer. He discovered that light speed in water is less actually, which directly contradicted what Newton said. Because when it is less, it is going near the normal. Light rays are going near the normal. But Newton said the speed should be more. So it directly contradicted. Then our Thomas Young in 1801, he did this famous double slit experiment, which we are going to see in this chapter. Double slit experiment undoubtedly proved that light is a wave phenomenon. Without taking it as a wave, we cannot talk about double slit experiment. After 40 years, another few more phenomena of light were detected: interference and diffraction. All these things also can be explained only through the wave concept. So, but then people said, okay, if light is a wave, then wave needs a medium, right? Wave needs a medium. Then you see an ocean has waves, it has got a medium to travel, Then during that time, there was a scientist called Maxwell. He gave our 4 equations, which we have studied in electromagnetic waves. He said that light is an electromagnetic wave. It's a time-varying electric and magnetic field, and it is self-generating. Light can even propagate in vacuum. Light doesn't basically need a medium to propagate. So all these things establish the point that light is a wave. Then, was Newton wrong? What exactly is light? We are going to see in the upcoming chapters that light has this dual nature. That is not the discussion in this topic. In this chapter, we are going to study the wave concepts of light, wave phenomena of light, like Young's double slit experiment, Huygens principles, and all these interference, diffraction, polarization. All these things we are going to study in this chapter. So this is the brief history about light, and how the whole theory has changed from within the 300-400 years. This is what it is. Talk about Huygens theory. Now, basically, what Huygens said, he introduced the concept of wavefront. See, basically, it is like this. Suppose this you throw a stone in the pond. Okay, the stone drops over here, and what you will see? You will see the ripples, right? You will see the ripples all around. These are the ripples. It is like this. Now, here, this whole thing is a pond. Okay. Now, when you throw the stone here, is the particle here moving from this point to this point? The answer is no. Okay. The particle here is vibrating the particle which is next to it. It is vibrating the part next to it, and so on and so forth. It is propagating. Okay. Now, when it is doing so equally in all directions. So, and these are in, if you have studied wave, we can say that the particles are in phase. Let us say there is a particle A here, and if you imagine this as a concentric circles, if you try to understand this, I draw a circle here, I draw another circle here, like this. So at some distance, a particle here, a particle, all these particles at a distance from that, okay, they are in same phase. That is called a wavefront. Okay, so that means at a particular distance from the source, all these particles, this is A, let us say this is A, these are in the same phase. Here important term is same phase. Then it is called a wavefront. So similarly, the next will be B. You can call this B, B, B. Then this will be C, 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 like that. All these are wavefronts. This is wavefront 1. So A is wave, B is wavefront 2, wavefront 3, so on and so forth. This is the concept of wavefronts. The thing is that all the particles in A should be in the same phase. So wavefront is defined as a surface. You will call this as a surface. This is not just a line, it's a three-dimensional surface. So if you can see here, this wave is moving in this direction. You can say that this is moving in this direction. Okay, obviously it will be going with some speed. Huygens said that this is the speed of the wave which is propagated outward from the source. You talk about speed from the source. Okay. And in this situation, actually energy is transmitted in the perpendicular direction. If the it is propagating in the x direction, let us say, the energy is transmitted in the y direction, not in the x direction. Energy is not transmitted in the direction of the propagation of the wave. It is in the perpendicular direction. Okay, and these wavefronts are spherical in shape. You can if someone asks you what is the shape, you can say that these wavefronts are spherical in shape. So these are some of the points. What Huygens said was these wavefront shapes can be determined. So in this figure, actually you can see O is the source. This is the source. You can say the primary source. Alright. Now from here the disturbance occurred and it is propagating in all directions. We are showing only this one direction. Okay. Now let us say the wave speed is v. So he said that if time t is equal to 0, you know the shape of the wave front. At time t is equal to tau, you can determine the shape of the wave front. So how you can determine the shape of the wavefront means this is the primary source of disturbance, and then the wave is moving in this direction. So here secondary, here let us say one wavefront is created. Okay, now each particle here, there will be hundreds of thousands of particles will be there. Now these particles will behave like a secondary source. They will be like a, they will now start this disturbance process. Okay, O has no more role now. The role will be taken up by these people. Okay, and they will transfer to the next, and they will transfer to the next in this section, in all possible directions. Okay, so they will be creating wavelets, and they will take forward the disturbance. So there will be a secondary source which will be created. So if you can, so in if the time is tau, what is the distance traveled means v into t, v into tau, that is the distance traveled. So if you draw a sphere, remember this wavefront is a three-dimensional thing. If you draw a sphere of radius r is equal to v tau, you spheres. So at you have to draw the tangents. You'll get like this. You'll get all over. You know, at each point you have to, at each point, and you have to join those points. Then you're going to get one f2. What you're seeing, this is the first wave. So first wavefront will be creating the next one. This will be creating the next. Be creating the next. Like this will keep on going. Okay. So this is what he said. So how do you going to do it? At a particular time tau, if you want to know the shape of the wavefront, you have, remember these wavefronts are spherical in shape. So you have to pick the point, draw the, you have to take the radius of b tau, and you have to draw the sphere. Join all the tangents, you will get a new wavefront. The next will be, let us say it is something like this. So here some E, F, G, H, let us say H1, H2, how you're going to get. So from here to here, you're going to, there will be another b tau, it will be moving. Let us say b tau 1. So you have to draw another sphere. Like that, you have to keep on doing. This is how a wave propagates actually. Okay, initially some disturbance is created by this primary source, then this keeps quiet, and the role will be taken by the next secondary wavelets will be doing the thing for the primary source. Now in this whole thing, you are seeing that if you take the case of f1, f2, all right, so g1, g2 is created. Okay, but d1, d2 is also created. Now this is the back wave. Okay, this is the back wave. So Huygens said that it is propagating only in the forward direction. This back wave, the velocity, you can take it as 0. He just made a ad hoc assumption. In the back case, velocity of the wave is 0. So you can consider only g1, g2, and further and so forth in the forward direction. He talked, you can proceed in the forward direction, don't go back in the backward direction. However, it is not so simple. There is an absence of back wave. It was proved later by wave theory. There was rigorous calculations involved and all that. So back wave is not there. But basically, Huygens made a simplistic assumption that in the case of a back wave, the velocity is equal to 0. Only in the case of front, in the forward direction, you can take radius as Vt and you can construct the wavefront. So this is the procedure how you construct the wavefront using the Huygens principle. This is called Huygens principle. Okay, principle. A particular section, it will is what it is. Okay, so the first wavefront was f1, f2. So from here g1, g2 was created. You can see all these are points. Okay, so here a tangent has been drawn and it will keep on moving in the forward direction. So from here to here, from f2 to g2 or f1 to f2, what is the time taken? T is equal to 0 to t is equal to tau. So the time gap is tau. So at every tau interval, you can construct the new wavefront. Obviously, it will be, and the radius of this will be, the overall radius will be O only. Okay. So from here, if you want to draw, you have to take the radius and construct this. G1, G2. For G1, G2, the center will be O. For F1, F2, the center will be O. So this figure, actually, you see, in the initial discussion when we were discussing, so when the disturbance is created here, you go for a very large distance. See, basically these wavefronts are spherical. So what this figure says is, at a very large distance, you can consider them as a planar surface. You can consider them as a planar surface at a very large distance from source. Okay, now whether can we apply this Huygens principle for a plane medium or from any other medium? The answer is yes, you can apply Huygens principle for light propagating in a plane medium also, like going through a mirror, going through a lens. Can we apply this Huygens principle? The answer is yes. These are some of the propositions which are kept by Huygens. They were later on proved also, so that's why his theory is later on accepted. In the next video we will see some more points, some more phenomena. Thank you.